Hello and welcome to another special episode of the Father and Son Pastime Podcast. I'm Patrick.
I'm Kevin. How are you?
That's my dad. Dad, we have traditions now on this podcast. It's the second anniversary of the Over-Under Prediction Show.
And you won last year.
I think I did win. We didn't dominate it. We didn't get a lot of over-unders, right? But I just got a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think I won $30 last year.
Yes.
I think we did 30 that. But speaking of owing people money and winning money, my dad wins $50. There you go. So we have official video evidence of it now. But he won $50 for picking more free agents correctly than I did this offseason.
One difference.
One difference, and we didn't do that well. He got 6, I got 5 right.
Yeah. Out of 50.
Out of 50 options. We threw in some honorable mentions in there, too.
Yeah.
It was difficult. It always is. I think you got like 9 or 10 last year, Dad.
I almost got the first 8 last year in a row and then petered off. This year was really sporadic.
Some didn't make sense at all. Some got lucky. But Jack Flaherty was your big help.
Yeah, and then Jason Haywood.
Yeah, he was, yeah. I should have got that, but...
little ones like that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this year with, all the shenanigans with Scott Boras and all that stuff, we had to wait until, the end of March to figure out everything else. A lot of guys held out past January into February, so the big influx of signings in November, December really didn't happen. It happened after the New Year.
It felt like a slow offseason.
Yeah.
There's only 2 free agents that haven't signed yet, and one we have the same, and even if one I got right, which is unlikely at this point, we had a tiebreaker, and he would go to the tiebreaker because Trevor Bauer did not sign with a MLB team over the offseason. So he wins regardless, so it's might as well just give him the money now.
Where do you think Montgomery will end up?
I really hope Boston.
Interesting.
Just because, without Giolito, there's not a really good pitching staff.
Apparently 2 teams are wanting to give him a multi-year deal. I'm not sure who those 2 teams are, but I guess they're waiting for opening day and then sign him. So that way they don't have to do the draft pick.
No, because Monty got traded mid-year. He doesn't come with a draft pick. So it's just Boras being Boras. That's really the only holdup. I guess money, but yeah. Anyways, we're not going to fully unpack the offseason. A lot to unpack. A lot still unfolding with more Shohei Ohtani drama. We thought it would just be the signing. We didn't know there'd be a dog. We didn't know there'd be a marriage. We didn't know there'd be a betting scandal. But we're here to talk about the over-under predictions, award predictions for Rookie of the Year, Cy Young, MVP, and then our World Series prediction as well. By the way, if you follow me or follow us on Twitter, I've actually already leaked my prediction for the World Series before this show. Little fun teaser so you know exactly when we're recording these episodes. But we'll get to that later. Dad, we're going to go to the AL first. I texted all of you these over-under lines, courtesy of DraftKings. Thank you, DraftKings. Do you want to do the $30 again like we did last year?
Sure.
Okay. So most over-under right for the MLB teams wins $30. I'll kind of go over the lines, and we'll share our predictions, and I'll be writing down my dad's as well as we go live. Yours is locked, so you can look at mine, I guess.
Sure.
Openly for the AL, Dad, I have a lot of unders. It's a little surprising. But we'll get to that. Maybe you have a lot of overs, and it gets to be, really fun and competitive, our different worldview. I don't know if you want to say anything before we get started. My thing is if you improved your team, I kind of saw your MLB standings from last year, and I gave you more wins. If your team got worse, I took that into account.
Yeah. Some people have a sneaky good offseason. Mm-hmm. I think the Giants had a really sneaky good offseason.
I do.
And they came late to the dance. But I think they had, a pretty good one, and the other teams had solid off seasons that you're going to have to watch. But yeah, it was spread out this year. Mm-hmm. Not one team Dodgers. Not one team dominated the free agent signings, in my opinion.
That's fair. A lot were good trades.
Yeah.
We will be placing some bets live on DraftKings. Every now and then I might say there's a lock. You might want to sprinkle a little bit of this. Bet heavy, bet light. But yeah, so not all these will be betting live, but if we're feeling super confident about a low line or super high line, we'll share that with you because we want to kind of give a little bit of advice through this. Don't take it as we're not experts in the field. Take in your own consideration as well. Don't send us a check request because you bet the wrong thing. But yeah, Dad, let's start with the AL East.
Sure.
Surprisingly, the Baltimore Orioles, despite being first in the division last year, are not penciled in by DraftKings to come in first in 2024. The New York Yankees are expected to win 91.5 games. Are you taking the over or the under?
Under, because the ace is hurt.
I'm taking the under as well. Believe it or not, the over-under line went up after Cole's injury. That didn't make any sense to me.
He may end up Tommy John.
Yeah, it was 90.5, and then Cole, I don't know. I think he might be out longer.
Why that happened, because they didn't add anybody.
They added a lot in the offseason, I think.
Right, but now after Cole got hurt.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
And I also don't think this team, I know Soto is a great addition. I know they made considerable improvements, but I don't know if they got 9 games better than their 82-win season last year.
Starting rotation.
I do see that. I do think that a lot of these Vegas numbers, DraftKings numbers, are close. I mean, I think 88 to 90 wins is expected for the Yankees. I expect them in the playoffs, even without Cole there, because I think they're 1 year of Soto. They're going to push for an offseason. They don't want to miss the playoffs again. But I just don't see 92 or more wins from this team.
Yeah, I'm thinking Montgomery might end up there.
Okay, I see that too. Back home, yeah. Dad, the Orioles are penciled in for second in the East, 90.5 wins. What are your thoughts?
Over.
I took the over as well. Why did you take the over?
I think they had an unbelievable spring training. I don't know if you follow them in spring training, and I know a lot of people poo-poo.
They won the spring training.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people poo-poo spring training, but I got to see the highlights. The Orioles were crushing the baseball. They were hitting prodigious home runs. I like what they did. They may have the best pitcher in the American League with the addition from the Brewers. I just think that really set them up. That was a great acquisition. And I think Kimbrel's going to be a great closer. So the two valuable pieces of the Orioles that improved are in the pitching. I think they're going to get at the deadline some more pitching, but right now I think they're a 95-win team at least.
They didn't get like 10 games worse. They won 101 games last year, so I thought that was kind of mean, for lack of a better word. And I also am really impressed with the Orioles trading for Corbin Burns. I like Corbin Burns a lot. I think he's a great pitcher. He's always in the Cy Young race. But what that signified is that they are actually going to try. They're going to try to acquire talent. I expect them to get, sure, it could only be 1 or 2 pieces at the deadline, but if an injury comes up or a hole presents itself, they'll go get somebody.
They have an unbelievable farm system, Patrick.
Yeah.
If they need something, they pluck down to Norfolk and pick somebody that's right now stuck. Stowers is one of them.
Sure.
They can add to their glut of pitching. They got an arsenal of trading capital to improve their team.
Sure. Dad, let's move on to the Blue Jays, who are slated to get third place at 86.5 wins. What's your thoughts on the Blue Jays?
Over.
We have our first different viewpoint. Why do you think over?
I just think that they are improving. They didn't do a whole lot in the offseason, but last year I don't think they met their capability of playing great baseball. I think they underachieved last year. So with that lineup and everything and the power offense they have, I just think that they didn't achieve, and I just think this year they will. I don't think anybody's watching them.
I'm kind of, obviously the under, so I'm kind of the opposite. They've had so much hype for years that, Vladimir Guerrero said it's the preview, here comes the movie. We're still waiting on the movie. They got 89 wins last year. I think they did get 3 games worse. No Chapman. I think Alek Manoah is not going to bounce back. I'm very worried if he got lit up in spring training. I don't think they've really improved their team this offseason. Merrifield's gone. They re-signed Kiermaier, and they got that Cuban pitcher. But with how improved the Yankees got, and obviously I think the Orioles are a fantastic playoff team, I don't know if there will be 3 teams coming from the East. I think that line's close. I have the Blue Jays coming in at like 84, 85 wins.
Okay.
Again, I'm not fully off on this, and I haven't really said bet that. That's a great thing. It's definitely going to be over, definitely going to be under. I think a lot of these are going to be close.
Yes.
Dad, the Tampa Bay Rays, big drop-off. They had 100 wins last year. 99 wins last year, and they're dropping to 84.5. Did the Rays get 15 games worse? Do you have over or under?
I have them under.
I have them under, too.
I think the magic is gone.
Keep talking to me about that.
I think, they lost Glasnow, which they didn't
by choice.
Yes. I just think you look at their lineup and you're saying, I just don't see it happening. They've done it with smoke and mirrors, and 2-3 years in a row. I think this is when the competition catches up to them.
Shane Baz is starting the season injured. Rasmussen, Springs, and McClanahan are probably out all year. It's like a whole rotation. I know they brought in Pepio, and I'm sure Savali and Eflin, they'll tap into something great. They're still dealing with the Wander Franco issue. This is a full year, obviously going to be without a star shortstop.
He might be done.
A potent offensive threat. They traded away a lot of their pieces in the offseason like I said, they're one really healthy ace in Glass now. I know Glassman's not always healthy, but when he's healthy and pitching, he's phenomenal.
He was healthy in spring training.
Yeah, I always take the under on two teams. If you have watched this podcast for years, I always take it on the Rays and the Rockies. Usually it bounces out. I get the Rays wrong and the Rockies right. But yeah, I'm not believing. I think they're going to be close to a 500 team, but I don't know. I had this dream a couple weeks ago that Randy Arozarena became a Cardinal, and he got traded mid-year.
Wow.
So, not that means anything at all, but if that comes true, I am fully clipping this and putting it on all social medias. Dad, the Boston Red Sox line is 77.5.
Yeah.
What do you think on the Red Sox?
I got them under.
This is my lock and my first live bet. 100% take the under.
Yeah.
They were somehow before
their lineup is really messed up.
Before Giolito's injury, they were 79.5, and then when you lose a quote-unquote ace, you only go down 2. Trading Sale just sucked. It really hurts the fan base. I 100% take the under. I think they may win 70 games. It's going to be like a 70-92 team, especially in that division. I know they don't play as many games in that division anymore, but still, they play a lot.
Everything you said is correct.
Thank you. Let me find the Boston Red Sox, place this live bet, make some money come. I'm taking the under.
And I'm thinking come deadline, they're going to clean house.
$10 basically gets you $20, so go ahead. I'm taking that double of my money, unfortunately betting against the Red Sox. That we only have one difference so far in the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm going to go ahead and circle it. In the entire AL East. So let's move to the AL Central. The Minnesota Twins, who finally got a playoff win last year. The city was happy. They had 87 wins. DraftKings has them pretty much the same, 86.5 wins in 2024. What's your thoughts?
Under.
I have under as well. Tell me why you took your under.
I just don't think they really improved their team.
It got way worse.
Yeah, and that division, I know, again, they don't play everybody, but that division's better. So they're going to be playing the Royals and Tigers, I think, are going to be much improved. I think they're going to lose more games to those kind of guys. I just don't see what made the Twins so great other than the unbelievable weak division last year, but the division's better. So that's one reason they're going down.
I have down to it when you lose Gray and Maeda and Molly, a lot of your great pitchers leave in the same year. I mean, Sonny Gray was second in the Cy Young, and you really didn't replace it with anything. Maeda goes to a divisional rival in the Tigers. I know you and the Twins and the Rangers struggled this offseason with the TV deal fiasco, and you really weren't able to spend that much. You traded Polanco. You just didn't. It didn't look like you added anything of substance. You're trying to actively trade Christian Vasquez because you overpaid him when he was a free agent. I know I drafted Royce Lewis in the home run draft we just had, but him and Correa and Buxton could be, when healthy, MVP candidates, but all three of them have risk. So yeah, I usually am like pro Twins. Listen to 3 years, 4 years of podcast. Yeah. You'll hear that.
That
pro
and the Braves.
I love the Twins and the Braves.
You do.
But I am not feeling this team. They got worse, and they shouldn't be at that line. I think.
I think the TV deal scared them.
Yeah. Dad, I'm very happy to talk about the Detroit Tigers. Their line is 80.5. They did have a pretty good year last year in Miguel's last year, despite really no expectations. They came in second, 78 and 84 in that division. They did do a little bit, better than people thought. They did better than Cleveland. Everyone thought the Guardians could be almost like a playoff team, and the Tigers finished second. 80.5 is the line, Dad. What do you have?
Over.
I have over as well, and I'm just going to go ahead and say that I'm locking this one. They are my pick to win the Central and make the playoffs.
I think they made some improvements, and they have a very good farm system, by the way.
Yes,
so they got some youth coming up.
Colt Keith. I'm not taking him. I'm not trying to ruin a pick. I don't want to take a second baseman as my Rookie of the Year candidate, but he's really good. And then Parker Meadows in center field also could be really great. If the kids all click, I mean, Jack Flaherty had Cy Young votes. Kenta Maeda is fantastic. Tarek Skubal could finally find it again and be that 1-1 pick he was. I really think the potential in the Tigers is definitely better than the potential in the Twins. We'll just see who has health.
And I think they figure out their front office. I think they have some good leadership now. So they're coming around. So it'll be a surprising year in Detroit.
Let's move to Kansas City. So obviously their big move of the offseason was extend.
We're skipping the Guardians?
Oh, I'm so right. You're so right. I saw. Let's go to the Guardians next. They are penciled in to finish third in the Central. 79.5 wins for the Guardians. Saying they got better than their season ago. What are your thoughts, Dad?
Under, because they're in clean house at the deadline. Apparently Shane Bieber's gone.
Yeah, I don't know about clean house, but I definitely
got some chips.
I think they'll trade Bieber, and they also wavered, and obviously now he's like outrighted in the minors. But Miles Straw, he's been their center fielder for 4 or 5 years.
Great center fielder.
It doesn't hit it all, but great defense.
Yeah, be fourth outfielder.
No one knew who was going to be starting at shortstop. They just said Rocchio or Rocchio. So that's a new name for us. They just didn't add anything. They didn't spend anything. They took a minor league deal on Cookie Carrasco, and it'll be like their 4th or 5th starter. They just did nothing that impressed me all offseason, so they certainly didn't get better. So, yeah, I'm taking the under. Dad, we're doing actually pretty similar. We're taking a lot of unders. The Kansas City Royals could be another different disagreement. Their line at is 74.5. They did a lot of improvements in the offseason.
Yeah.
I think Cole Reagans is this like dark horse Cy Young candidate, which is great. Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha, obviously Hunter Renfroe is near and dear to my heart. They got him, and obviously they extended Bobby Witt. I will say before we give
Didn't they get the pitcher from the Orioles too?
Oh, Jordan Lyles?
Yeah.
No, he was there last year.
No. The one pitcher the Orioles had that was, pretty good.
You think Gibson?
Gibson, yes.
No, he is a Cardinal.
I'm sorry. Okay, my fault.
I know that's going to change your over and under. So they were the second worst team in baseball last year. They had 56 wins. The line is 74.5. Did they get nearly 20 games better, Dad?
I got them over.
I figured you would. I took the under. You go first.
I love this team. I think they're going to be a fun team to watch. I think they added pieces that make them better, and I think that they were so disappointed last year. It seems that they now have Bobby Witt's going to be their leader. Mm-hmm. So long as he becomes the leader, they got enough pieces and enough pitching to, make it work. And in that division, I think they're going to eat up some folks, and I think they're going to do well. I think they're second place team in that division.
Wow, so the Twins are third for you?
Yes.
Okay. I like to see the Royals changing energy. They've been a really bad team for several years.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to do a 20 win hype. I mean, that's the Orioles and the Rangers did that last year. I think that's the list on who was able to completely reverse their fortunes so much in 1 year. I like that they spent a lot. I appreciate that. I wish a lot of those signings were for more than a year. That would have given me a little bit more confidence in this franchise, because the first sign of doubt or they're not winning. I mean, I can see Lugo, Wacha, and Renfroe being traded, and then that's their season. They could acquire. I obviously think that's an option too. I just don't see more than 75 wins. I think it's probably going to be like a 70-92 team, which is a great progress. I mean, that's basically 14-15 game jump. But I'd be very impressed to see the Royals do 20-plus games in a year. I think maybe 1 or 2 more pieces, I would have been convinced.
You never know.
Yeah.
You never know what they're going to do at the deadline.
I think Garrett Hampson is their starting opening day DH. They optioned Drew Waiters, who never really clicked. Pasquantino is healthy now. I just think they need a couple more bats.
Yeah.
Dad, the worst team in the AL Central, according to DraftKings, and obviously according to us, is the Chicago White Sox. This number is post Dylan Cease trade, 61.5. Believe it or not, they're saying that's what the White Sox got last year. They were a 61 win team. What are your thoughts there?
Under
as well.
They're worse.
I don't know how they would be better without Cease.
And they didn't really add anything to the mix. No. And I think, again, they're going to lose so many games in the first half. They're going to have, the GM's going to say, okay, give me, bids for the 3 stars that they have, and they're all going to go.
I hope they keep Robert, but
they can get a nice haul for him.
I think Sheets would go. I think Eloy could go. Eric Fetty, and maybe Paul DeYoung if anybody needs a shortstop. But I hope it's not Robert. I really hope they hold on to him just because I'm selfishly drafted him in the home run
but
draft.
I'm just saying they can get 3 or 4 players for him.
I think it's an easy lock of the under because there's very few teams in baseball that are openly not trying to win. They're one of them.
And they're shopping for a new home.
So, I'm taking just like the Oakland Athletics once did.
I
know. So I'm taking the under there publicly as well. Only 2 differentials so far, Dad.
Pretty good.
Let's move on to the AL West. AL West, very interesting. I think it will be a very fun 3-horse race. The Astros, I think it's been that way for almost 6-7 years now, are penciled in for first according to DraftKings. 93.5 win team. A lot of injuries on the Astros. They only had 90 wins last year. Your thoughts, Dad?
Under, and they're going to miss Dusty Baker.
Interesting.
I think Dusty really helped that team. His personality kind of fit with those kind of guys. He let them be who they are. I think they're going to miss Dusty.
I have the over, and I think it's like 94, 95. It's just barely over.
Huh.
It was one that
even though they got some injuries right now.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay.
I think that bullpen's the best in baseball. So if they only have a 1 or 2 run lead in the 6th inning, I just think they keep it. Presley and Hader as your 8-9 is just
that was their big addition.
Yeah, there's like I said, the White Sox openly a team losing. There's a handful of teams that are preparing for October that know they're in the playoffs and they want to find weapons to beat the Dodgers or the Braves or the Rangers or whoever, the Phillies. And I just think it's so interesting to see this team go after that exactly. I can see them trading for some people. I think I always say the CS goes through Houston, and until Houston is not part of the championship series, I will always pencil them in there. So making them an under kind of gives are they going to make the playoffs or not? So I just thought the Astros will make the playoffs and therefore have more wins than that. That was my logic, but it's not going to be. I don't think it's a 100-win Astro team. How about that?
I agree.
Dad, the Rangers, the World Series champions Rangers, who had a hell of a year last year, I thought got very disrespected in this ranking. They won 90 games last year, plus all the ones in the playoffs, and they only put them at 88.5. What are your thoughts on...
I have as an under.
Really?
Excuse me. And I think they're going to really miss Montgomery, and they lost some other pieces. So I think right now they couldn't get into the free agent bidding, and I think they took a couple hits. So I think they're going to be 86, 85, but I got them as an under.
I have them as an over. Both of these teams I do have as overs. I think it'll be a nice sort of race like it was last year. The Rangers and Astros, I think, have very similar struggles. Both have potent offenses.
And Rangers came out late in the season.
Mm-hmm. And I think, I kind of believe in Chris Young. It worked for him last year, and I think he has owner approval to kind of do what he needs to do to get the right players. They're going to have 2 Rookie of the Year candidates with Wyatt Langford and Evan Carter all year.
Yeah.
They're going to have 2 to 3 MVP candidates with Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, and Adolis Garcia. Their big thing last year was that they blew 40 save opportunities. Some of those were in the same game. But they get David Robertson. They get a few they should have got Hader. They really should have. But they worked a little bit in the bullpen, and I think they will add at the deadline bullpen pieces too on whoever is selling or trading.
Who's their closer right now?
They're going to keep Leclerc.
Okay.
And Robertson's a setup guy. I can possibly see that switching.
Yeah.
But
Robertson's great.
Lorenzen, I love this signing because Lorenzen's going to be a starter until Max Scherzer's back, and then Lorenzen's going to go to the pen. So
great fit.
Great swing man, definitely needed. Molly and DeGrom possibly coming back as well mid to late season. Makes sense. Astros possibly could have Luis Garcia coming back and obviously Verlander coming back sometime in the season. Those things are going to matter, and if they're healthy enough, hey, take your time on your rehab assignment. Take your time, build up the strength. We just need you for August through October.
Just got to hang in there to then.
Just kind of hanging in there to then. I like both teams to make another deep run, and I think either one could be in the ALCS.
Yeah, exciting team.
Seattle Mariners, Dad. This is great conversations. 87.5 is the line. Let me go back. They finished just around that last year, if I recall. I'm pulling up the
just
stat.
Missed the playoffs.
They just missed the playoffs. They traded a lot of pieces.
They're missing some power
in the offseason. Yes, they definitely are missing some power. What do you have
under
as an under? I have an under as well. Tell the people at home why you have your under.
I think their lineup is much weaker than it was.
I think so too.
And I think they didn't do a whole lot to replenish. They got Julio, but then who's the other stars?
Yes.
So right now, I don't see the star power.
I like a lot of their players. Like I like Mitch Garver. I like Luke Raley. I like Polanco from the Twins. I think they traded well, but they traded a lot. I mean, they really gave up on Kelenic. Maybe he becomes something in Atlanta. Maybe he doesn't, and they sold high. But the player they got, Jackson Coher, is after the season with Tommy John. So they really lost that trade. They also gave up Evan White in that trade, and then he went to the Royals. Yeah. So, anyways, a lot of moving parts. I went to Seattle last month, which is crazy to say. Last month. And I think 5 or 6 of their players featured outside the stadium and on banners and billboards are all off the team. So it is going to be definitely a different chemistry. It could be maybe they cut off all the fat, if you will. They trim the fat of the team, and it'll be a really lean team. Or there's going to be chemistry issues because the team hasn't really played together that well.
I worry about power.
I worry about too much. A Julio injury away from
being really bad.
Team is what happened. So, yeah, we'll see. I took the under. I think this team could still be a playoff team, but it would really suck if Seattle just misses the playoffs again. I kind of want them in or out.
They were in first place.
I know.
And then you're home. That had to be devastating.
Money caught up to them.
Yeah, probably right.
Money caught up to them. Dad, the Angels, Shohei Ohtani's former team, 72.5, which is like the most Angels line ever because they always get like 72. They had 73 wins last year. They always seem to hover in the low 70s. What's your thoughts?
Under.
I took the under too.
And is this the year Mike Trout gets traded?
I don't think so. I have like a 70-92 win team. It's just they don't really have an ace. With Ohtani,
I don't think they have any spirit. Rondon over in the offseason, really, what? Keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
Why do you say I really don't like to play baseball?
Yeah. don't make the season 162 games.
Yeah.
9 innings. Let's cut that down too.
Yeah. I just you know how much you're getting paid?
If some of their rookies click and play the full year, O'Hoppe, Chenul, Zach Neto, maybe it becomes a fun little team. But I can also see this team trading any of their 1-year contracts.
I just think that it's no spirit.
It's just they're not going to be competitive, and I think the exodus of Ohtani will be felt in that clubhouse.
Talking about taking your heart and soul away from a team.
Dad, the Oakland Athletics. I took the over last year. Remember that?
Yeah.
They had a higher line, too, which is funny. Their line is 57.5, Dad. Over or under?
Under.
They won 50 games last year. They certainly didn't get 8 games better. Just for guessing, do they hit that 50 mark again or not?
No.
Interesting. Are they the most losses in baseball?
Yes.
Okay.
They don't have any players.
That's a fair comment. They don't really have good pitching, and I think any good pitcher will get traded midseason.
I did like it when they added Davis.
Yeah, that was a nice move.
Yeah,
I think he's the highest paid person on that team.
And
Zach Geloff, Ryan Noda, Brent Rooker.
He'll be their star.
Estuary
Ruiz.
Ruiz.
They'll ditch him at the trade deadline.
Maybe. Estuary Ruiz will probably still get like 70 steals, which will be fun. But yeah, I don't think they have much in the way of pitching. I'm sure they'll fall into some wins when other teams' bats just kind of go silent. There's never been an MLB team that's lost every game or won every game. So they'll win, but they're going to lose a lot, and I think it will be well over 100 games. I think if the over-under line was 49.5, I would take the over, but I think it's like 50 or less.
You know it's going to be fun. Like guess the attendance when Oakland plays the White Sox and the White Sox play Oakland. That'd be a great set.
Under 10,000.
I was going to go with under 7.
Yeah, at Oakland, sure.
Yeah, well, and Chicago.
Dad, that's the AL. I kind of want to do a slight. No, actually, I don't want to do that yet. No, we'll wait to do. I was going to do like all the AL predictions, but we'll wait to that. So we had only 4 different: the Blue Jays, Royals, Astros, Rangers.
Pretty good.
Yeah, and you took the over on 2 and under on 2, and vice versa for me. All right, let's move to the NL. NL, when we get to the West, by the way, I have so many thoughts on the NL West, but let's get to the East first.
Okay.
Dad, the Atlanta Braves had a obviously phenomenal year last year. They did not go too far in the playoffs, so they're the best team in baseball, most wins. DraftKings had them getting worse with 101.5 as the line. What are your thoughts?
Under.
Whoa! Tell me why.
I think they were just... I think many teams are going to challenge them this year. Last year, I think they breezed through, and they really were hot. Let's face it. This year, I don't think they're going to have that kind of luck, and I think they're going to, struggle a little bit. I'm not sure about their bullpen, and I think right now their rotation is a little weak on 4 and 5. So I think it's going to be like 99, 98, but not 101. I don't think they're going to hit the century mark.
That's impressive. I think there was a bet that I was thinking about taking. Will any team get above 105 wins? And I think Braves and the Dodgers will.
Okay.
I didn't take it, though, but I will take the Braves over. It's just, I don't think they got worse. The division, I think, got worse. We'll kind of talk about the Marlins are going to get worse. I think the Mets are going to get worse.
I'm with you there.
But the Phillies can get better, and that doesn't necessarily hurt the Braves' number. I loved all their crazy trade moves that, like, they took on a bunch of salary, then traded people the next day. Like, that's how I did baseball video games growing up, just constantly trade. Trading was more fun than playing. So, yeah, I will take the over, and I like the Braves to have a really, really good season this year as well. Yeah, over is plus money, so I'm definitely going to be betting that. So, no problem taking the Braves on the over. Dad, what do you think on the Phillies 89.5
over
team? I have over as well.
Yeah. I think the Cy Young winner comes out of the Phillies.
Woo, teasing. The Phillies did win 90 games. The line was 89.5. Phillies didn't get worse. They'll have a full year of Bryce Harper healthy.
Big.
And I think
they shored up their bullpen a little bit.
Yeah, and I think they'll get like 92 wins.
Yeah. Fun team to watch.
Mets, Dad, and I was shocked at this, but the Mets are a 500 team according to DraftKings. 81.5. They had a pitiful year last year. Them or the Cardinals were the worst expected seasons. 75 wins. Somehow they're saying they got 6 games better. Dad, what are your thoughts?
Under. And they cleaned house at the trade deadline.
Yeah. If they gave me any hope that they were signing like any other people to multi-year contracts, I would have been like, oh, maybe they're going to be competitive. All of their free agents were 1-year contracts or maybe 1 year with an option. So that gives me no confidence.
I think you have no team chemistry. I think it's a team. And even they were saying bad things about Alonso. He comes to the game, plays, and then gets a cab and takes off. He doesn't do anything with his teammates. I think the guy's a real chemistry problem.
Mm-hmm. And I like Pete, but yeah, maybe on a new team would be better for him.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go ahead and take the under on the Mets. I thought that was a pretty good bet. Yeah, I just see them trading, cleaning house. They've openly said 2024 is not the year we plan to be competitive. That's why Scherzer allowed the trade to happen. 2025, I think when names like Juan Soto or Max Fried and a bunch of other great players hit the open market, I expect the Mets to be crazy next offseason.
They should have the money.
Yeah, well, there's the only reason
off the books.
Yeah, and I think they'll trade for well-talented people. Especially if it's like, hey, you want Starlin Marte? We'll pay 90% of his contract if you give us a top 3 prospect.
Pete Crow Armstrong.
Yeah, I'm sure that was a mistake now.
Yes.
Miami Marlins at 78.5.
I got him under.
I have him under too. I'll walk through my logic if you don't want to do it. I know I've been asking you to go first each time.
Go for it. I think the Marlins have lost a little bit, and I think their pitching staff is in shambles because injuries.
So no Sandy Alcantara for a full year was the reason I took the under. Yuri Perez also is injured. I don't know how long he'll miss.
And somebody else is.
The offense has never impressed me. Like Luis Arraez.
And they lost Soler.
Yeah, Luis Arraez obviously could hit 380, 375 this year. Jake Berger's going to hit some home runs. But after that...
He was a steal, by the way.
He definitely was. But after that, I am just not confident on a bunch of rookie pitchers all clicking or kind of a bunch of, let's just call it replaceable level hitters all having borderline all-star seasons. It was great they won that many games last year, and I think Skip got manager of the year. I just don't see a repeat down in Florida this year.
They're going to lose a little magic.
Yes. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just think you don't have a rotation. So they're going.
You don't have a healthy rotation.
Yeah, they're going to get banged around a little bit.
The Washington Nationals, that kind of shocked me at how low this number was, 65.5. They won as many games as the Cardinals did, and we're only 4 difference of the Mets. They won 71 games last year, and DraftKings said they got worse, 65.5. What's your thoughts?
Over.
I have like a clear over.
Yeah, and they have some young people coming up. Their AA team had a bunch of really good players. James Wood's one of them. They're going to bring those guys up like the Orioles did. They're going to be competitive second half of the season.
I think it's a little opposite. I think they'll be competitive first half of the season, and I think they still will trade players like Joey Gallo, Nick Senzel, maybe Juan Yepes if he can kind of click, Joey Meneses maybe, Finnegan in the bullpen. But, like, their kids, the Ruiz, the Abrams, maybe Lane Thomas stays.
Yeah. I just think they know what they're doing. They've had some good drafts.
Yeah.
They had a good draft last year. They got the kid from LSU coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I think they got a bright future.
Yeah, I think maybe when obviously they trade these people, what I think it's inevitability, and they bring up some of those kids, Wood for example, Cruz. Then you said it gets competitive. I would call it fun. I don't know about competitive because maybe they click and maybe they are competitive, but at least they get a cup of coffee and they get a taste of the big leagues because 2025, 2026, this team. If the owners spend money and figure out what's going on with Steven Strasburg, that's still not settled.
Yeah.
I think maybe this team could come together again like it did in 2018, 2019.
Interesting fact, James Wood, Jackson Merrill played in the same high-level team in Northern Virginia over the years. For 2 guys who are going to be stars in the major leagues, come out of the Mid-Atlantic is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So James Wood is something to
He's fast.
He is 6'7", can run and can hit. So he's going to be a star, and he played in the same team, right in the D.C. area.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little fact.
Dad, technically, this is where DraftKings starts to bother me. They do the same line for a lot of teams in the NL West and 2 in the NL Central. So I think you got to pick. You got to pick on who's better. The Cubs and the Cardinals both have a line of 84.5. So in a way, they're both saying they're tied for first, or you could say they're going to be tied for second. Who do you want to talk about first?
The Cubbies.
84.5. What are your thoughts?
Over.
I figured you would take over, and I took kind of the under for that reason. So we would have this competitive all year. Go ahead, talk to me why over.
I think, one, the rotation is better than last year. The bullpen is much better than last year. And don't forget, they blew September because Ross went to the bullpen too often and wore those guys out. I think they got the number 1 manager in the major leagues to watch all that stuff, and they have a much better lineup. And Michael Busch is going to be a very good player.
Mm-hmm. I was if you look through past conversations we've had or past podcasts we've done, I thought the Cubs were going to have a great offseason. They lead it off really. They sign. The Brewers manager, Counsell becomes a Cubby. Definitely going to have fun rivals throughout the season with those 2 teams playing. But then they just did nothing, in my opinion. They really had a bad offseason. I know Cubs fans come at me. I'm at @PasttimePodcast _ on Twitter. I'm glad they re-signed Belly. I thought kind of Imanaga and Stroman could be a wash. maybe it's a better personality. Sure, I'm not the biggest fan of Marcus Stroman. I thought Hector Neris was a good signing for the bullpen, but the bullpen was so weak it could have used more upgrades. It kind of felt like a piece of tape on a leaking dam.
Especially left-hander.
And I just thought they could have done more. I don't know why Patrick Wisdom is still on the team. I just thought there could have been more done, and they didn't wow me enough for me to say over.
I think, and I just follow the Cubs because I'm from Chicago, but ownership has said this is the mark of the money we're going to spend. They got to that point, and they couldn't spend any more. If that owner would have said, hey, go, 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 I think the Cubs would have signed Montgomery and maybe a few others, but they couldn't do it because their hands were tied fiscally, and they could not sign any more players after Belly. Belly was the last one.
I think I would understand that if they knew their place in the division. Hey, there's a juggernaut above us. No matter what we do, we're not gonna come in first. The NL Central is wide open. You look at what the Tigers and the Royals did too, because they saw a window in the AL Central and they signed a bunch of people. I thought really the Cubs could have done a lot more. I mean, Woodruff and Burns leaving the same team in the same year they were unstoppable against the Cubs for the past 4 seasons.
No ex-Brewer signed with the Cubs. Mm-hmm. So that could say something.
So they just didn't impress me enough, but if it makes you feel better, I have an under on the Cardinals as well. I don't know about you.
I have under.
But I did not think they got that many games better. I mean, DraftKings really believes in this team. I guess they're thinking last year was a fluke. Like I said,
they do have some big-time players.
Same record as the Nats, but I really think the chemistry is a problem on this team.
Yeah, they didn't change anything.
They added 1-year pitchers.
I mean, manager-wise.
No, you're right. I think Marmol is a bad manager. Yeah. I think I've been on record at this point saying when a team signs a bunch of pitchers for 1-year contract, it gives me no faith that they are trying to be competitive for the long term. All 3 of these players could be traded or injured. Lance Lynn has had an injury history. Sonny Gray obviously becomes their ace, but I don't know. It still is not. When they said we're going to go out and sign 3 pitchers, everyone thought they would sign 3 top-of-the-line pitchers, not Gray, Gibson, and Lance Lynn. Sorry, Gray was a long-term contract. I mean, Lynn and Gibson were 1 years. I do apologize.
Gibson lives on 1-year contracts.
I don't like that Tommy Edman is being thrown around like Mookie Betts. Hey, figure out how to play this position. He was a Gold Glover. Kind of keep him at the position he earns a Gold Glove at.
Yeah.
I don't know if Jordan Walker's ever going to click. I don't know if Dylan Carlson kind of gets it back. Goldschmidt is in a contract year. If the Cardinals start going bad, he might get traded for something. So I am.
They're a team that's right on the bubble.
The whole division's on the bubble.
But either they do well from Jump Street and they add at the deadline, or they trade their stars.
Yeah. But I was just surprised that DraftKings picked both of them to be like, hey, either one could get first. Yeah. And I don't have either getting first for what it's worth.
I think in baseball, whoever gets off to a great start, you're so far ahead of the pack. Yeah.
Last year was the Pirates, but we'll get to them later. They had a crazy April, if you remember.
Yeah, they did well.
The team that's supposed to win third is the Cincinnati Reds at 81.5. Do you have them over or under?
I got them over.
I have them over, too. I have them winning the division openly.
Me, too.
Oh, wow, even a Cubs fan saying that. Tell me more from a Cubs perspective.
I think they're talented.
They're young.
They are an exciting team to watch. I saw them play in Baltimore last year. They run. They hit. They play great baseball, and they might be the most athletic team in the National League.
Yeah. Obviously, there was a steroid 80-game ban on Noel V. Marte. I don't think it's going to affect them that much. They got a bunch of infielders. Yeah. Candelario could now play first or third. So
that was a good pickup, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was a great pickup.
Yeah.
I thought Frankie Montas, Nick Martinez, Pagan, Brent Suter, all good pieces. Excuse me. The team won a lot of games last year and just needed some health. I just hope all the rookies don't get figured out. I know De La Cruz kind of got figured out and only hit 212 technically for his little stint last year.
But what an arm.
Absolutely. Spencer Steer can hit the ball. Christian Encarnacion-Strand can hit the ball.
They got some nice outfielders, too.
And I think this team is also not trading any of those players because they're all rookies and controllable and cheap. I didn't like what they did with Joey Votto. I wish Joey Votto stayed with this team, but he really didn't have a place.
Yeah.
I think the Reds would trade maybe one or two of those players or people that are still in the minors for, a hole that they might need midseason. With that, I was placing the live bets on the Reds over and the Cardinals under. Okay. Dad, we're simpatico on that. I figured we'd be off with the Reds. Off with the Cubs. Brewers, a massive drop. Kind of just like how the Royals had a massive increase. The Brewers were a playoff team last year. They were 92-70. Their line is 77.5. A 15-game drop. Did they get 15 games worse, Dad?
I got them on his under. I just think they got nothing left. I mean, you look at their pitching staff, it's nothing. And I think who's there is hurt right now. So their starting rotation is nothing.
It was a very weird offseason because I thought they were going to do full sell. Woodruff cut. And they obviously re-signed him later, but he's still injured this whole year. Burns traded. I thought Adames would end in that, but he didn't. He stayed, and then they signed Rhys Hoskins. They extend Jackson Churio.
I thought Hopkins was a good addition.
Hoskins with an S. I thought it was too. Rhys Hoskins.
Hoskins. What did I say, Hopkins?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. We live in Baltimore.
Yeah.
I don't like the Jacob Junis signing too much. They're hoping a flyer on DL Hall. I know they'll be worse, openly. I don't know if they'll be 15 games worse. And even if they lose some of the names I've already said, even if they trade Adames, maybe they'll trade Hoskins too because it's a 1-year contract.
Right.
That division is not as intimidating to me as someone that's getting the under. So we'll see. It's the Brewers. If that was like an 80.5, 82.5, I'll probably be with you on the under. But it was just too high for me, or too low, I guess is the best way. So I just took the over. That last team in the Central, it sounds. I'm very curious if you think they'll be last, but Pittsburgh Pirates 75.5 total wins.
I got them under.
I do too. Tell me why.
I just thought I think they're missing the boat. They have a great minor league system, but when they bring them up, it seems they don't develop them. They got some tremendous athletes, but they don't have enough talent throughout the lineup. They got pieces that are very good. They don't have enough to make it gel. 1 through 9.
They have a lot of injuries coming into the year. I think that Andy Rodriguez was a bad injury. They seem to not get lucky because obviously they lost O'Neal Cruz.
That was bad.
Their 1-year contracts too. Chapman, Rowdy Tellez. I mean, McCutcheon will retire hopefully in Pittsburgh. Hopefully he doesn't get traded. I know they've been rumored to shop my lovely law firm of David Bednar. I don't know. I like the Michael Taylor signing. I think that kind of went underrated. It's a really good defensive outfield. Brian Reynolds, Michael Taylor, and Jack
that's
Swinsky.
A big outfield.
Yeah. They got great defense. I think Cruz and Hayes, obviously Hayes is a Gold Glover. It has potential, but I also think they'll trade, and therefore I had to take the under.
They never seem to gel,
Yeah. Although I do think in the coming years the Pirates are going to get really good.
Yeah, they had the potential to do so.
They have so many. I mean, Henry Davis, Andy Rodriguez, and Paul Skeens all are going to be dominant on that team.
Yeah, they always have the top 5 draft choices. Yeah. Sooner or later, they gotta come to the cream of the crop there.
Yes. The highest line, Dad, is in the NL West. No surprise, is the L.A. Dodgers at 103.5. That's a big number.
It is. I got them over.
I got them over, too. I got them massively over. I don't know about betting it because that gets into the scary, like, oh, my God, are we going to win
the
more
moves they made in December, January are like, is anybody else in the major leagues doing anything?
Yeah.
They did it all.
They really did. I think the reason I'm not placing the bet, obviously in the collective scheme of this, but not on DraftKings, is kind of the Ohtani stuff does interest me.
There.
Can Mookie Betts be one of the best baseball players of all time and now learn shortstop? I don't know. I really do think it'll all click. I think they have multiple Hall of Famers on this lineup. Betts, Freeman, Ohtani. Check. for me, all Hall of Famers.
And the pitching will get healthy as the year goes on.
They have 10 starters if all healthy. Now, I know not even 5 of them are really guaranteed to give you 200 innings, if not 150. Yamamoto had a rough first debut, but, maybe it was nerves. Who knows? Training for Glass now, maybe a full year, Walker Buehler, Bobby Miller, Ryan Yarbrough, James Paxton. Gonsolin is out for the whole year no matter what, but people like Kurt, and I think Ohtani's out pitching the whole year too. But Kershaw and May should be coming back towards the end of the year. And I think they got a good bullpen. It's just such an impressive team.
I think they're going to outscore you.
I can't take the under. I just can't take the under on the Dodgers.
I know.
But what will bother me, and it does bother me greatly, is a 3-way tie for second place in the NL West according to DraftKings. 83.5 for the Diamondbacks, Giants, and Padres. They don't know what the hell's going to happen. Just say that next time, DraftKings. The former, World Series team of the Arizona Diamondbacks said they got a little worse. I thought that was a bit insulting. They had 84 wins last year. I thought they had a great offseason, and basically they put the same line at 83.5 this year. What are your thoughts on the Diamondbacks?
Over, and I think the young guys improve, and I think the lineup gets better. They're athletic, and I like the way they run the bases. I like their lineup, 1 through 9. They got a little pitching. I think they're a good, solid team. They got a decent bullpen. They got all the components.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking the over there. Lock it in. So you're in the overland too. Love the overland. I thought they just did great Eduardo Rodriguez, I know, hurt like his lat. He might not be here to May. Re-signing Gurriel, but also getting Jock Peterson. Trading for a Eugenio Suarez, I thought was a great deal for them. They gave up like a reliever. Awesome. I think it's going to be great. I think that lineup is, the reason they probably lost the World Series. So this is one of those teams that I think is starting to think a World Series in mind.
They learned a lot last year.
And then I think they'll pick up a starter mid-season through trade. I don't know who yet. But yeah, I really like the over for the Diamondbacks. I thought that was a pretty easy one. Giants or Padres next?
Let's go Giants.
Giants, great offseason.
I think outside the Dodgers, the best.
Interesting. Obviously, they had a lot of a big second half push.
Yeah, they really did. I think they did well.
A lot of Boris players. 79 wins last year, Dad. Did they get 4 or 5 games better?
Yes, and I got them as an over.
Okay. I have them as an over, too.
I think they're going to be competitive.
I think they will be, too. Snell and Webb on the same team. Webb was kind of at an ultimatum with San Francisco, saying that, why don't we get more people? They missed out on so many people last year. Getting Matt Chapman was great. Jorge Soler.
I think that's the key to their offseason was Chapman filling a big hole in defense. Yes.
Yeah. I like Soler finally giving some power. I want to see the transition of Jung-Hoo Lee. He looks to be their leadoff hitter. He has not a lot of power. Kind of like reminds me a little bit of a B player of Ichiro. Like he has slap hitting potential. He has the ability to hit 300. I just don't know if he has. Ichiro had power. He just didn't want to hit the ball. He didn't like home runs. He liked singles.
He wanted to run.
He did, and then he could steal. And Lee is obviously not anywhere as fast as Suzuki. So I'm just kind of curious how he transitions to the league. I think health will really matter with this team if Ray and Cobb can come back from their injuries, because then they could have Ray, Snell, and Webb. That's a fantastic threesome.
Yeah.
If they get to the playoffs, look out. So yeah, I have the over as well. Dad, the Padres. So we've took 2 overs of this 83.5 3-headed beast. Where do you have the Padres?
Under.
I have them under as well.
I don't think they're going to do well. They really are putting. They have 5 shortstops in the starting lineup.
I think 6.
All different positions. I just think they're in disarray.
Machado, Xander, Kim, Cronenworth, Tatis, Merrill, Profar. They were all shortstops at one point.
I think it's in disarray. It's a softball team. I think they're going to struggle.
Yeah. I love the Dylan Cease addition. It made me stop.
They didn't give up a whole lot. They gave up 4 players, but they weren't all stars.
I actually want to root for Woo Suk Go as often as I can this year. So anytime I see him, it's a joy. But yeah, moving Xander to second base to put Kim, I think, sadly makes sense. I think on any other team, Xander's your starting shortstop. I think you got to get. I hope Merrill has a great year. Jackson Merrill, we obviously know him from Maryland.
Yeah.
But I think you are actually surprised to say this, missing a bat. You had to trade Soto for money reasons. Sorry about your owner. But I do think you're just kind of missing a piece in the offense that, if Tatis or Machado goes down, I think you really are going to have a bad stretch of games.
Yeah, and Machado right now is a little injured. Yeah.
Yeah. Dad, last team, Rockies. Again, just for people at home, I made this chart, and I just drew an under. I didn't even look up the line. That's how I feel about the Rockies. Yeah. Are you in the same?
Under.
Yeah. It's 60.5. Awful franchise.
They won't win 55.
Sure. I like the Cal Quantrill pickup. I'm trying to think of nice things to say. But your two best pitchers, Senzatella and Marquez, are out all year.
Chris Bryant's at another position now.
I think he's a first baseman.
Yes.
And I don't know what's going on there. I like Nolan Jones, but I think you should trade Ryan McMahon. Charlie Blackmon's probably in his last year.
He's 36 to 38.
I don't know. He's just not as good anymore. I think Daniel Bard finally is going to be done. We'll see where things go, but there's not a lot of hope for anything but fifth place on this team. And you got to play the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, the Giants, and even the Padres are significantly better than you. So I just think they're going to beat up on their little brother.
Easy tickets to get in Denver.
Yep. Dad, we only had 7 differentials and over-unders.
That's pretty good.
Braves, Cubs, Brewers in the NL, Blue Jays, Royals, Astros, Rangers in the AL. Very surprising. We have very similar minds about the future of 2024. But let's move to the awards. And I want to be a little more protective here because I don't want you stealing. Because I got a couple. I did write down 2 for every category. Sort of an expected, what you should bet, and then maybe what you should sprinkle on. A little bit of a betting help here. Dad, do you want to start with Rookie of the Year, Cy Young, or MVP?
Cy Young.
All right. I will therefore pick the league. AL, Dad, who do you have winning the AL? And let me know if you want to know any of these lines at home, if you want to place any bets live.
Corbin Burns.
Get the hell out of here. You pick Corbin?
Right here.
I pick Corbin.
I pick Corbin.
All right. He wins his second.
He will be the man, and he's pitching for next year's contract.
Yeah.
So I think that's let's face it, the Orioles did an unbelievable trade. Kind of snuck it in there. I think it was right around Christmas time, whatever. And this guy is going to be a leader, and everything is going to follow him. And I think it's probably one of the best trades the Orioles ever made since Frank Robinson.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's high praise. Just to let you know, you like that?
Yes.
Just to let you know how Corbin's stock is going up. I looked up these numbers this morning. It is now obviously the evening time here in Pasadena. Or sorry, not Pasadena, but at Rosedale. He was at plus 800 to win the award. Now he is favored to win it at plus 700. Him and Gossman are the 2 front runners. So what that means is $10 makes you 70. So I am. I'm just going to go ahead and pretty much all of these. I'm going to place some money. I believe in Corbin. I think it's a slightly bigger ballpark than Milwaukee. I think he's going to get more wins.
He's got a better defense.
And he's also going to get just more wins because it's a better offense behind him. Yeah. He had a lot of no decisions last year because Milwaukee gave it up in the bullpen, something like that, and I don't think it's going to happen this year. I can see Corbin Burns getting 18 to 20 wins.
He seems happy.
And yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and just drop Burns, Baltimore, in a contract year, placing $20. If I win, I get $160. So I'm placing that. Oh, we're placing 10 of it. Okay. My dad's got some live cash. So we're placing 10 of that in my dad's name. No problem, Dad. You'd win $70.
You could use it.
Yes. Just to put it out there, I think Logan Gilbert could be a dark horse candidate to win. He's now at plus 1,800. He was at plus 2,000 this morning, so place those bets when you can. But I believe on Corbin to do that. Cy Young, Dad, in the NL, I'll go first.
Okay.
It's Spencer Strider. I'm just taking chalk in both leagues. Spencer Strider has been the strikeout leader last year. He had 20 wins. So strikeout leader and wins leader. Somehow he didn't get the Cy Young. Felt a little borderline robbed by Blake Snell just because he had a better ERA, but he gave up obviously more walks than Strider. So yeah, I thought Spencer Strider just made sense. You're gonna have Zach Wheeler, I know. Go ahead.
How'd you know?
Because you alluded to it about Phillies getting a Cy Young candidate.
There you go.
I do listen live.
That's my pick.
Would you like to place any money on it? It's plus 800, so $10 would make you 80. Are you gonna place 20?
I'll go 10. Okay. Give me that back.
No problem.
There we go. Whoops, sorry.
That's how bookies feel. I swear. So we have Burns and Strider or Burns and Wheeler. Okay, super fun. Dad, let's move on to Rookie of the Year.
Sure.
I think that's a fun conversation. Let's start with the NL. I think I was hinting at this earlier, Dad. It seems to be it's a starting pitcher or center fielder is like the top 10 options. So do you have a center fielder or a starting pitcher?
I got a starting pitcher in the National League.
Okay.
And I have an infielder, semi-shortstop American League.
Take me through your NL pitcher first.
Yosh.
Oh, you got Yamamoto.
Yes.
Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
Yes.
Even after his bad opening start.
Yes.
Okay. He is the favorite. He's at plus 260, which is not a great line. It's basically you bet $10, you win 26. We're not talking hundreds here. We're not rich here in Maryland. So I mean, I obviously DraftKings thinks that's the chalk. I think he's going to have a little bit of an adjustment period. I feel like, with the exception of like one or two people, you come over from the KBO or the Japanese leagues, you need a year or two to adjust to American talent. I'll take Jackson Chourio. I think he's going to be a bright light in the Brewers team this year. He's plus 600, so kind of very similar to the Corbin Burns line. And yeah, I really appreciated that he was not the favorite. I think he's going to steal a whole bunch of bases and definitely
he'll get plenty of
playing time.
Yeah.
Do you want a Yamamoto bet, or the line not good enough for you?
I'll roll.
Totally fine. Dad, in the AL, a lot of options. I assume that you were hinting at some Baltimore player. Am I right?
Yes.
Jackson Holliday is plus 450, not the odds-on favorite anymore because he's not starting opening day. Wyatt Langford is actually
He had a great spring training.
He's young. Both the top two candidates for Cy Young, or sorry, not Cy Young, Rookie of the Year odds are two Rangers. Langford and Evan Carter still qualifies.
Yeah.
And that's who I'm taking. I'm taking Evan Carter.
Good for you.
I think he's got great power, and I think he's great maturity, and I don't think the pressure
and
will really get to him.
A good outfielder, too.
Yeah, left fielder. Colt Keith is who I'd sprinkle on a little money here. Dad, do you want to put anything on Jackson Holliday? No? Okay. $10 to get you 45. PCA is at plus 4,000, which is a little crazy to me for the NL. I guess because of the Bellinger signing, he might not have a clear path. But $5 is a pretty good sprinkle there. Colt Keith, I just don't think a second baseman's going to end up getting the Rookie of the Year. But Evan Carter, we got Jackson Holliday, and then I got Jackson Chourio, Yamamoto for our Rookie of the Year predictions. I think some of us are going to hit. We both called Corbin Carroll last year.
I'm going Jackson Holliday.
10 on Jackson Holliday? You got it, champ. I'll let you know if any of these win. $10 won me $50 last year when I bet on Corbin Carroll live.
He had a great year.
Dad, let's go MVP. You pick the league first.
American League.
You want me to go first?
Sure.
I was between two Rangers. And I really was leaning Marcus Semien because he plays every day. I'm not picking him. I said I was leaning.
Okay.
He plays every day, but he's a leadoff hitter. He's like a leadoff or he's hitting second, and he's going to get a lot of appearances, he's going to get a lot of walks. He stays healthy, but he doesn't have some of the numbers that his teammate Corey Seager does. I was worried about Corey Seager's health until very recently, which I was told he was supposed to start opening day and be ready for opening day. So at plus 1,000 Corey Seager, I'm going to drop some money on, and $20 gets me $200. So Corey Seager to win AL MVP. I think he's got, it's way too early to call it, inside track of the Hall of Fame. He's
wow.
Two World Series MVPs.
Yeah.
Only player in history that's ever had two World
Very
Series
consistent.
MVPs. Check me. I'm not positive on that, but it sounds right. Dad, who is your AL MVP?
Juan Soto.
Plus 600 if you'd like to place anything.
I think Yankee Stadium is perfect for him.
I do too. I think
I think he's going to have a great year because he's playing for his future. He's still like 24 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a young man, and I think that short right field porch is going to be perfect for him. I think he'll be a star in New York.
I was surprised that, and I understand why. Judge obviously did set the AL home run record, but I think with that short porch in Yankee Stadium for Soto, I think he could hit more home runs than Judge, especially with Judge.
That's an MVP year.
I'm well aware. So Soto could easily get the MVP as well. NL, Dad. NL is, it's interesting. AL's wide open because no Shohei. But the NL does have Shohei. He is third in the current odds, just south of Ronald Acuna Jr. and Mookie Betts. I'm openly between those two. I think I'm leaning to a back-to-back just because of the steals and the speed. I love Mookie to death, but I think at the odds alone, Ronald Acuna is plus 500. If he was plus 200, I might take Betts, but Acuna, that just seems a good bet.
So you're picking Acuna?
I'm taking Acuna.
I'm picking Betts.
Betts is plus 650. Acuna is plus 500.
Yeah.
I think one of them wins it.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I think Mookie means more to his team than Acuna does.
I'm only placing 10 here. And also the Braves won the World Series without Acuna in 2021.
Yeah.
But without Betts, I actually do not believe in the Dodgers as much anymore, which is crazy to think about. But not having Betts on the Dodgers means more to the Dodgers than not having Acuna on the Braves. Braves just have people. Braves have people step up, and I think Betts being kind of a silly, fun guy, too, is kind of brings that team together.
Great bowler.
He's a great bowler. He's probably one of the best athletes in the sport, if not number one. Truly. Dad, any other bets on the awards? We don't do Manager of the Year, Reliever of the Year. It's not that fun.
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
I think we made some really good picks.
Awesome.
And, I mean, when I did my list, there was a lot of people in my final list.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Should be a good year of baseball.
Dad, we're going to skip all of the who wins this, who wins that. We want World Series predictions. What is yours? Tell the people at home your World Series prediction.
Dodgers, Orioles.
Ooh, and how many games? And who wins?
Dodgers win 4-2.
Okay, in 6 games. All right. I'm going to get to the team futures line in a second. I have the Orioles in the World Series as well. They do stand out to me as the best healthy American League team. I think Rangers and Astros are going to suffer some injuries. They're going to beat up on each other and kind of like the Braves and the Phillies, they beat up on each other constantly. But I think the Braves they just impressed me so much this offseason. I know they didn't go to the level of the Dodgers, but they're trading for the right pieces. They're playing for October. I got Braves over Orioles in 5. I like that we both have the Orioles. Braves, Dodgers. I'd love that CS. I think Orioles, Astros is the CS in the other one.
Yeah, and they learned so much from this year's short run in playoffs.
Absolutely.
They know what it takes to go to the next step.
Absolutely. And just for fun, I'm going to put this early now, March 26, 2024. Braves over Orioles, Dodgers over Orioles in 2025, 2026, Orioles over Pirates.
Wow.
I have the Pirates getting all that youth together.
Wow.
So I have the Orioles in the World Series back to back to back, but only one win.
Kind of
like the Astros. I mean,
they've drafted well. They don't have any more, first 3 draft choices for a while, so it'll be interesting to see what they do. But when they did draft high, they drafted well.
Yeah.
So that's very, very encouraging. Elias should be very happy with what he's done.
I'm trying to go right to... Oh, that's division. World Series straight forecast. The odds-on favorite is the Dodgers beating the Astros, which would be fun.
Okay.
Dodgers beating the Orioles plus 2,800. That's big. And then let's see about the Braves beating the Orioles. I am going to put some money on that. Braves beating the Orioles. Sorry, this is not the fun part because this is where you really have to search for every option. Any other silly bets that you want interested on doing your World Series forecast at all?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay.
I spent some of my winnings and kept a little bit, so that's what a good bettor does.
Braves beat the Orioles is 2,800. So $10 gets you almost $300, $2,800. I'm going to go ahead and just take that $10 bet. That's a sprinkle. And I like that. You don't have to pick in 5 games if you don't want to. That's super hard to do.
What's a sprinkle?
Sprinkle is just like a couple bucks on a very high odd.
Okay.
So a lock is something that's like you're going to make very little, but it's just common. Like you know the New York Giants aren't going to win. You're not going to make the playoffs next year, for example, in football. So you take New York Giants to not make the playoffs. It's kind of a lock.
Okay.
So, but you're betting $50 and you might win $5 back. A good bet is something where you could probably double your money, and a sprinkle is where you might quadruple to 10 times your investment, but you only want to spend a couple bucks because it's so unlikely.
Okay.
So yeah, just a little betting lingo. Yeah. I'm gonna keep looking around for other fun bets to do. But yeah, I like a lot of these silly things. I definitely want to put money on the Tigers making the playoffs because I'm sure that's plus money. Did anything else? Oh, yes, it is. We're going to make some money on the Tigers. Is there any other bets or predictions or anything you want to talk about leading into 2024, Dad, that you want the people to know?
No, I think it's going to be a fun year. I think keep a good eye on the young players coming up. I think if you really look at baseball, they have more exciting young players now than they've had in the last 20 years. So I think that's what you want to keep in focus. And I think, just enjoy their athleticism. So that's my two cents, and that's it.
I think enjoy the flip in baseball that's, I think, about to happen. Enjoy seeing the Mets be bad, the Royals be good. Maybe
Tigers come back.
Tigers come back. Maybe the Rays get to be a bad team again. So I just think the shuffle, as we're shuffling cards, of baseball is going to be really fun to watch in 2024 as players retire and go out and the new generation of people come up. I mean, people start calling Acuna a veteran, which is crazy to think about it. I think he's 24, 25 years old, that he has people on the team younger than him and he's a veteran. It's like, what? He just won Rookie of the Year or whatever. So yeah, I think it's going to be really fun to watch. My one sprinkle that I will end on is that the former reigning, in a way, NL Cy Young Blake Snell is plus 1,800 to go back-to-back on the Giants. Good defensive team with Chapman behind him. But I would argue better defensively. He had Kim at San Diego, but better defensively in San Francisco than San Diego. That could be a fun sprinkle as well. $10 gets you basically $200 if he wins it again. And a third Cy Young means Blake Snell's in the Hall of Fame. So I'm going to root for him. Enjoy opening day. And thank you for watching an hour plus of a podcast.
2 days away.
A lot of money exchange hands, and hopefully I win this 2 years in a row because it's the only bet I win against my dad. I'm about to pay him more money for his insane March Madness bracket. So hopefully I get some more money come October, folks. Enjoy the season.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening. Please, if you listen this long, you got to subscribe to the YouTube channel. You got to follow us on social media at Pastime Podcast _ and the Father and Son Pastime Podcast on Facebook.
That's right.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.